everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Shape of My Heart naming podcast. I'm Flaminia and this is going to be a totally chaotic video. I don't know what number of episode it is. If you've been here before, welcome back. I really do appreciate you, and if you're new and you clicked on this video, thank you so much for doing that. I hope you enjoy this. But this is going to be, as I said, chaotic because I haven't filmed a podcast in like a month and I have a ton of things to show you. I finished the sweater, I finished a pair of socks, I've started like 3 new projects, and I have quite a bit of acquisitions to go through, which is not something I usually do. I usually don't buy yarn, but there was a big sale, so I was like, let's do a huge order and get kinda everything we need. So I did that, and also I'm in a period of the year where I have to study a lot. I have my first exam. I actually had my first exam like yesterday, but it was like a Spanish exam, so it wasn't as important, but I have like the first exam the day after my birthday, so the 9th of May, so it's quite near. I just study quite a lot because, you know, the more you go on, the harder things get. So yeah, and all this to say that I am a bit busy and just preparing my mind to film a podcast is very difficult, so I haven't prepared anything. I've just, gathered all the mess that I have to talk about, but I have no plans, no written things, and I hope it'll go well. I'm wearing my stripe pipe sweater by Kika, and these are the colors. It looks very pretty. I love it, just to like channel a little bit of the spring energy, which seems to be missing. I don't know, just one week we had like 30 degrees and then now we have like 15 or 10, which is like winter for Rome and Italy. So weather is not weathering, but I'm gonna link the Ravelry project page to this sweater because I have no time to talk about this as well. But I'm also wearing one of my finished objects, which is, it's a finished object, but it's not gonna look good because I've already worn them quite a lot. I finished my Sunday socks. Pretty, right? I know. Yeah, these are my pajama pants, don't mind me. And yes, last episode I finished one and now I finished the other, and they're super comfy, and I'm feeling the need for another pair, but again, I don't have the yarn for them, so as always, so thumbs up. I knitted them with a yarn that I bought in Norway in like a supermarket, so I don't really remember the name of it. So yeah, if I remember something, I'll put it in the description box, and if it is not in the description box, try to text me, and then if you're interested, I'll try to search more in depth, do a more in-depth research. That's the way you say it. But and I'll also try to minimally edit this episode because again, I don't have much time, I know this is going to be very long, but if I edit it as I edit my usual videos, it's going to be a huge amount of work, and I currently don't have the time, and I hope you understand. So what else? Yeah, Sunday socks by Petite Knit, and I needed the size like the second to largest size because I have quite sizable calves and ankles, but then for the length of the foot I followed size 39, like EU 39, which is what I have, so makes sense. And yeah, this yarn was, I knitted this yarn up in another pair of socks in the past, but they were a total fail, so I just frogged the whole thing and reknitted them, and now they're gorgeous. I wore them to my dance class, and we had one of those like big how's it called, rehearsals with like all the courses to mount all of the entrance piece and ending piece whatever all together. So I felt kind of quirky because I wore my hand knitted socks on top of my flat shoes. And my contemporary dance teacher, she was like, "Oh, Flaminia, did you knit those?" And I'm like, "Yes, I actually did. Thank you for noticing." And then like there is a like a guy that is in our course. We don't have many, we just have him, so that's why I'm referring to the guy. The guy always wears I don't know if they're wool socks, but very similar looking socks, but just in a like black or charcoal gray. And I was like, look, we're matching. And he was like, "Oh my god, you knit those yourself?" I'm like, "Yes, of course I did." Thank you for asking. Yes, of course I did. And yeah, so I would highly recommend. Not that you needed my recommendation because they're quite famous. Yeah, and also it's 7:30 in the afternoon, so the sun is going down. So I don't know how we'll do with the lighting, but I hope the spring and summer gods will help us with the light not going away so quickly. But maybe I should not just ramble about anything in my life. Anyways, then my second finished object is a very exciting one, and I'm not wearing it for obvious reasons because it is a sweater, oversized sweater knitted in Icelandic wool and mohair held together, which is, I think, my warmest sweater that I have in my wardrobe, kinda. Maybe, I don't know, yeah, probably. And it is the Season sweater by Osetta, and I've recorded a project vlog about this, like the whole process of knitting this sweater, which is my latest episode. But like you should be able to find it pretty easily because it has this as a cover, and I don't know, I don't have that many videos, so you can find it. And yeah, and also like I didn't record podcast episodes, but I actually posted many fun videos, so I'll invite you to, maybe if you want more knitting content, to go back and watch those if you want. And so yeah, this sweater is a raglan sweater, crew neck, in all over half fisherman's rib stitch, and it is knitted in I can do it Istex plotulopi in the shade 2022, held together with Bouche Le Petite silk mohair in like denim blue was the color, something like that. And actually this wool was generously gifted by my boyfriend for Christmas, so I'm very happy. And I like this a lot, how it feels and how lightweight it is for how like big and chunky it is, because it is knitted on like 5mm needles, so it is like a worsted weight gauge. And I like the drape it has with the silk mohair. And I don't know, I find this combination pretty scratchy because I have very sensitive skin, and this sweater is knitted in like very soft merino wool, so that's why I'm able to wear it without anything underneath. But this, yeah, it has very long hairs, so yeah, and maybe the mohair doesn't help either, but actually it's not as irritating as some other sweaters that feel softer to the touch, but they like itch more, while this you can feel it is rough, but it doesn't particularly make you like feel the need to scratch yourself, if it makes sense. But yeah, definitely feeling rustic, but like after blocking, I think it bloomed a little bit. Like if I'm looking at the fabric, it looks less holy than what I started with. And yeah, I used 4mm needles. No, sorry, from the start. It is knitted top down, and you can cast on with tubular cast on, which is what I did. And then there are 2 neck options. You can either do this one, which is like a single neck band, and yeah, and it is like shorter. And there is the other option, which is like a folded over neckline, but it is also a little bit taller in like the total length of the neck band in general. But this is quite scratchy, so I didn't want, you know, anything too close to the neck. And then, yes, you work short rows, which aren't the easiest because, you know, half fisherman's rib, you knit 1 by 1 rib. You knit 1 by 1 rib, and then you purl the next row, and then you repeat these. But if you work it flat, you work it in a different way. And also, like, it depends on if you turn on your purl stitch on your knit stitch, but it also depends on, you know, what row the pattern you're on. So they're not like very intuitive, but Ozetta does amazing work. Like, they weren't intuitive, but I followed the pattern and everything went well. And they also look quite good in my opinion. Like, you cannot see the turns, so I'm very impressed. And so yeah, they weren't like difficult to follow or anything. They weren't intuitive, but they were easy to follow because the pattern was clear. Yeah. And then yes, you just work the raglan until you split for sleeves, and then you do sleeve decreases, and then you can either choose to like knit the ribbing with the same needle size as the body, so on a 5, but I went down to a 4. Like, there were 2 options, either going down to a 4 for a more like cinched in look, or staying to the 5 to make like a smoother transition, I guess. And I used the 4 middle needles on the cuffs on the sleeves, but I used 5 on the bottom of the sweater. But I kind of wished that I used like a smaller needle size. Like, I'm not quite sure, but the overall sweater like feels very like balloony and big, but then it is very flowy, so the body of the sweater kind of falls down. So maybe to I don't know, it would be more like coherent to have had the body be a little bit more balloony as well. So maybe like not going down to the 4, but maybe going down to like a 4.5 would have been better. But yeah, I'm not unraveling it. I also did tubular bind off on the bottom, so that was a nightmare. To frog I tried, but that wasn't working, so I gave up. And if you want more like insights on how the overall experience was, like with working like the different section of the sweater, and also working with the yarn and the bind off and the cast on and all of that, you can again watch the project blog because I go very in depth in that. But I can tell you that in general I really enjoyed knitting with unspun yarn. I don't know if that's something I will do again in the future, like probably, but not like very often, because yeah, I'm still trying to loosen up my tension a little bit. So yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed it, but I don't know, I don't usually go out of my comfort zone that much. So like, this was a gift and it was very appreciated, but I'll still have like a specific project in mind that I want to use that yarn for, and currently I don't have any plans. So but yeah, I really enjoyed working with this yarn, and I would highly recommend it if you want to give it a try. Yeah, I'm sorry for the harsh transition, but the spring knitting gods weren't helping, and it is getting very dark, so that's the only light we have available in the room, so I guess we'll have to work with this. Okay, I think we can move on to the whip section, and maybe let's start with a whip you had seen before, but it is in a very different state because I actually frogged it back and restarted. And wait a minute, okay, I'm crossing my legs on the chair. It is the Amy Slipover by Sandnes Garn, and yeah, I'll show it to you. This is where we're at, and I haven't finished this only because I ran out of yarn, as I already predicted. But yeah, I didn't order the yarn yet with the big order because I didn't know how much I needed. So this is where like 4 balls of drops alpaca held double got me, which I think it's quite far. So I still need to finish the front and to pick up with the neck, which, as you can see, you know, the size of the neck hole, it's pretty big. So like it is supposed to be like this because then you have a very like a very chunky like turtleneck, but it is looking very how's it called, scary, very non-promising, but who am I to judge? And here we are. And what else to say? Yeah, the first time I just held the yarn single on 4mm needles, but now I'm holding the yarn double on a 4.5mm needles, and I think that now I like the fabric more because it is a bit more like structured. This is 100% alpaca, and I don't know, with just one strand it felt like nothing. So now, even though it's a bit thicker, it feels better to me. I don't know. And I also blogged it because like it was looking horrible. It was looking terrible because all of these edges were just curling up. These edges were curling up like this, these edges, and then the ribbing were like all cinched in, and I don't know. I just thought, you know, I won't be working on this in like for a while, in a long time, for a long time. And so spicy meat project block, there you go. So I'm just under the underarm increases. And yeah, if you don't know this pattern, if you haven't already noticed, it is one of those like vests that have like a tie under the armholes to like secure it to your body, and those are ribbed. And yeah, I still have to do those, of course. And you'll just pick up along the armholes and knit the ribbing. And I think I cropped it compared to what the pattern said. Oh, and also this is a one size pattern, but it is extremely, I think, easy to modify. Like you just gauge swatch and you like, what do you do? You gauge swatch and you take the final measurement of the garment and you work out your cast on stitches, and then you would like follow the instructions are as normal basically, and you get the thing. And I've seen also people like doing modifications to the neckline, like picking up more stitches so it is not as wide, or what have I seen, or making like a crew neck version of it, and they all look very fabulous. And to be honest, they're very easy to modify. Like once you get a look at the pattern, it's very easy. Just a rectangle with underarms, you pick up, you knit up another rectangle with a hole in the middle, and then you pick up stitches and you knit ribbing parts. And yeah, this is a pattern by Sandusgarn, if I haven't said already. And I like did Italian bind off, yes, for the 2x2 ribbing. And if you don't know, like you rearrange stitches, and like to bind off with Italian bind off 2x2 ribbing, you rearrange stitches so that the ribbing becomes 1x1 rib, and then you bind off. And I did that, and I think it looks quite nice and polished. And yeah, this is it. I won't be working on it till I get the yarn to finish it, and I'm poor currently, so I don't know when that will be. And yeah, this was a project that was in my Make 9, like everything that I'm knitting currently, which I'm pretty proud of. No distractions, also because I don't have the yarn for the distractions. Oh my gosh. and as the season sweater. And my next cast ons, which I'm very excited about, and I cannot wait to finish them because they look fabulous. And also I want to put up, I did like on Canva like a collage of all the projects in my Make 9, and I just finished one because my articulated sweater, I think I will be frogging, and it is in hibernation for now. So I just finished the season sweater. But I have like the Amy Slipover on the go, which will be kind of fast, and then I have another quite fast project, which I think will be the next one that I'll be talking about. And then we have a slower project, very slow, which, yeah, it's going to be fine. But they're all in progress, basically, or in hibernation. So the ticks of the checklist, they're not green. I made like, I decided for green ticks for things I finished, for yellow ticks for the things that I'm working on, and for like red ticks for like things I will be frogging. So yeah, but the next project that I've cast on since last time that I showed you, and I've worked on a lot since, I think this is quite a significant amount of progress. It is the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit in one strand of brushed alpaca silk. Now I can actually show you the yarn because I have it, and this is like half of an acquisition, because like I had to purchase like 2 balls more to knit it, and I did. It is this one in the color 28, and it's just very nice yarn, very soft, and the pattern calls for kid silk mohair, L double, and I think you can substitute that combo of yarns with 1 strand of like brushed alpaca, because it is a bit thicker. It is like a fingering weight one, and I actually for once hit gauge on the recommended needle, which is 4.5 millimeter needles. So it is going quite fast. Like, this is not as, you know, oversized of the sweater. The end of the yoke, as usual, it was getting like quite boring. But yeah, you know how I feel about raglan sweater construction, so that is always true. But yeah, the first part of the yoke, like the majority of it, to be honest, you knit flat because it is a v-neck, and this is actually my first v-neck sweater, which I'm so surprised. I've been knitting for like 2 and something years, and this is my first v-neck sweater. But I love v-neck sweaters, but I don't know why I just haven't made any yet. Whatever, I'm distracting myself. I love the color, it looks very beautiful, and I don't know, what else can I say? Like, it just looks very fluffy, and I like how lightweight it is. Like, and yes, this is where 2 balls of the yarn gets you. The first one, I think it finished like right before splitting for body and sleeves, and then, you know, I've knitted like 10/13-14 centimeters of the body, and I've ran out of the first ball of yarn. That's why I stopped. I think that next I will pick up for the I-cord finishings along the neckline, and you also have them on the sleeves and on the hem, but they're less tedious to me because you don't have to pick up stitches. Like, those are I-cord bind offs, while the one on the neckline is a applied I-cord, and I hope that won't be too tight, because, you know, it is not a very deep neckline. Maybe it doesn't, you cannot see it now, but I cannot try it on because I have the needles on and my body it's too big for that. And so I think I'll put up a picture, but it's not like, at least, I don't know, I prefer usually deeper v-necks in my other garments, but with this, I don't know, it just fits really well with the overall design, I think. So I think that will be what I'll do next, and then I'll maybe go to one sleeve or maybe finish the body, because I'm actually not minding knitting on the body. It is not getting boring somehow, and yes, it is very mindless. It is not quite mindless, like as mindless as, for example, knitting with this type of yarn, like just worsted spun or woolen spun, because I use pretty pointy needles, and you can, you know, often get caught in the fluff of the yarn instead of, you know, the actual silk thread of the yarn. So it is not as enjoyable for my hands to knit on, but you will see what I'm knitting on like alongside this, and you can understand why I'm actually enjoying knitting just simple stockinette and just something that I know it'll turn out good. I think I didn't mention any of the sizes that I made. I'm so sorry. I knit a size medium for the season sweater, and yeah, Amy Slipover just one size. This, I think I'm knitting size small because, I don't know, usually people advise to go down a size. I'm in between size small and medium, so I just went for size small. And usually people say that if you knit your size, like, a lot of positive ease is integrated into the sizing of the pattern for a blouse, and people usually think it is very oversized for a blouse, but I don't mind it if it comes out oversized, and I'm not really paying much attention to how it fits, knowing that it is probably not small, but if it is too small, I can stretch it in blocking, because it is quite a flimsy fabric, kinda. And if it turns out too big, it's just going to be big and oversized and fluffy and airy and beautiful. So it is like a just knit, and you know, those petite knit patterns that you knit and you know it'll turn out good because it worked for so many people, then you're like, it cannot be me, it won't be me. So yeah, I tried it on once, so I'll put up a picture of it because I cannot try it on again. I've already said that. I think I'm rushing, but I think it'll be good because I have a lot of acquisitions to go through, and I think I'm talking really fast. I don't know. I've talked so much Spanish for my liking. At least I've talked very little Spanish these last days, and I'm like, I've missed my English so much. Yes. Oh, I also have to update you on my blanket. I've made so much progress since you've seen it on the podcast. Yes, on the podcast, because basically I'm recording a very delusional project vlog on that blanket that, for info, if you're new, I started like January 2023, so it's like it's almost a year and a half since I started the blanket, which is totally fine, but like it is so funny to think that I'm doing a vlog on that, and then when I will be editing the vlog, I will see like a year and a half older, younger me, and that would be like quite weird. Again, do I have to say weird? I don't know if you're ready for this. Next one is also a project from my Make 9, and I can maybe give you a hint on what it is. This is the yarn that I'm using. Now I'll show the project. I've made it looks so big right now. Like, this is a bottom-up garment, and you know, when you do bottom-up, just the body seems more never-ending than top-down. So yes, this is the Barbroe blouse by Knitting for Olive, and this is so beautiful. I've dreamt about knitting this garment for such a long time, and I'm so happy. And even though it is quite a small gauge, quite a tedious process, and I'm a bit anxious about the sizing, I'm not ripping back on this. I've already decided, like, if it turns out too big, that's fine, but whatever. I'm just trying to enjoy the pace and enjoy knitting with the yarn, which is, they recommended yarn, weirdly enough, knitting for olive merino in the color Bordeaux, which is, I think, a bit, you know, the light is making it a little flashy. This is the color of it in real life without the light, and it is quite moody, and I think, oh my gosh, I think it'll look quite good with my like complexion and hair and stuff. And if you don't know, like, let's break it down, the pattern and the design. It is a blouse with kind of a mock neck thing and a keyhole detail in the back with some buttons. And it is knitted top down with, again, light fingering weight yarn. And what else? You also knit the sleeve bottom up, which is something I'm not looking forward to, because these are the only, no, wait, I'm not looking forward to them. First, because they are knitted, again, bottom up, but it's not something I particularly mind. The fact that they're knitted bottom up in itself. I've knitted one bottom up raglan, and the sleeves were actually quite enjoyable. The problem is with this that they are satin sleeves, so you have to sew them on, and you have to kind of match up the patterning on the sleeve and the patterning on the body. So if you mess up, you can quite tell, like even a non-knitter can tell, because, you know, it just doesn't align. And yeah, that's that. And I'm using 3.25 millimeter needles because I'm a bit of a tight knitter. I'm working on it, but I'm a tight knitter, so I don't know. I didn't know if I want to go up to 3.5. So I just had this one pair of 3.25. So I'm using that. I also gauge swatch for it. I don't have it with me, but like, I don't know. This stitch pattern is a bit ambiguous. It's a bit ambiguous. Let me explain. Basically, you can see it creates a little bit of a fan shape, but you can also see there are holes. Yes, of course, I didn't mention it. It's all over lace. It's not stockinette, it's all over lace, but it is quite an easy lace. But rewinding, you have a lot of holes, which are made with yarn over. And if you look carefully, and if you're, I don't know, experienced or whatever, but if you're not, I can tell you that there are no like knit two together after the yarn over, usually to make like, to keep the stitch count the same while you're knitting, I don't know, the body of a sweater, let's say, and you have eyelets with yarn overs, they knit two together after the row after you do the yarn over. This time you don't. So actually the row when you do all the yarn overs, you have so many stitches that then you decrease. I don't know if you can tell, but within these lines you decrease those stitches you added with the yarn overs. So actually you don't have a consistent amount of stitches throughout the pattern, but the body is not like, you know, you don't have dents in it. It's quite, you know, it's just a body. It's not weird, but probably because all of this keep increasing and decreasing, it just makes for the waviness in the pattern. But in the swatch, I was a bit confused on at what point to measure it, because, you know, you don't have the whole sweater, and it wasn't like, it was a bit straight, so some parts you could see that were a little bit flaring. So I am doing size medium. Again, I'm always like, I always say size medium as the third size, because extra small, small, and medium, but it is size 3 technically, because I'm always in between the second and the third size. And why did I do that? Yeah, because I blocked the swatch, and with the right amount of stitches, I had 9.5 centimeters. So I was like 5 millimeters off in the gauge. So I was like, is it me, or am I measuring the pattern wrong? And the gauge wrong, I'm sorry. So I was like, I don't really know, but what if it is actually too tight? And what if the garment's going to end up too tight? I did some math, and you know, the blouse should have negative ease with the size that I am knitting now, which is size 3, but at the same time, I don't know, because there is no suggested ease in the pattern. So that's a bit like, you don't think about it maybe, but it can be tricky sometimes, because I won't be able to tell you, like, if you show me a picture of somebody wearing this blouse, I wouldn't be able to tell you whether, like, how much positive ease or negative ease they have, while in like other patterns, like more oversized, you can tell, oh yes, this is 10, this is about 15, this is about 20, this is about 30. I have no idea. So it is a little bit of a gamble, and I've tried it on, and like on the bust it is quite spot on, but my rib cage is quite big, and yeah, my waist is quite small, so it is looking a bit too gapey around there. So I don't know, I think I will keep going, and I'm knitting a project blog again also on this, because I don't know, it is quite tricky, so it would maybe be helpful for other people if they're, I don't know, looking for a suggestion or just comfort and support. So yeah, I will let you know how this goes, and yeah, and I've thought, like, this is still like merino wool. I would prefer it to be not too small. Like, I'd rather be too big than too small, but at the same time I really like the pictures in which the garment is a bit more tight fitting. But yeah, you know, you don't have shaping in this, like waist shaping in this, so it is just depending on your body type whether it fits like tight on your tummy and torso, and if it doesn't, like whether it does or doesn't, it depends on your body shape. So, you know, what can you do? I didn't know that, you know, with bottom up you cannot tell right away. So, but yeah, what I like is that, I don't know if you can tell, but the bottom two pattern repeats are actually bigger than the pattern repeat you do for the whole thing. You have chart A, chart B, and chart C, which are, you know, you use the exact same technique, but you have more stitches, so it kind of flares out at the bottom, which is quite nice. But I'm also scared that, like, if it flares out, but it is like, if it is big and then it flares out, I don't know, I'm a bit anxious about this. So that's why I'm like very much enjoying the Cumulus blouse. But, you know, I'll try to be positive, and I don't think it is going to be like so dramatically big if it is a little bit big. So yeah, if you've knitted this, let me know what you think. And also, I've read basically all of the notes on Ravelry about this, and I think that people say it is a bit short in the body, and like a girl even said, I added 3 more pattern repeats and it still was too short. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, my bust, no, I'm mixing terms, my torso is quite short, so I don't know about that, but it is not looking super long. Like, if you imagine my underarm is here, oh, actually it doesn't look doesn't look too short, which is good. And I have, I think, 3 more pattern repeats to go still on the body, I think. And so yeah, I think I'll block it before splitting for the front and the back, so that I can see, because I've seen also on Ravelry a post where the girl showed a sleeve before and after blocking, and it grew in length so much. And yeah, so yeah, just maybe it would be better to block it just to see how things develop. And I think that's it for now. That was a very rambly, very chaotic, very anxious talk about this whip. But you know, what can you do when you have these type of things that you put so much hours of work into, and then if they don't turn out right, you're like, ugh. But if they don't turn out right for like some mistakes that you made, you're like, oh well, the only mistake I did is not going back. But if you mess up the whole size, you have to start over. I'm not doing that. Like, for the sake of my mental sanity, this had 330 stitches to start with. The first row was a purl row, totally, and then you had like basically every other stitch you did a yarn over. So at the round after, you had like twice as many stitches almost. And I've knitted on this in like a 6-hour train ride, and I just did like 2.5 motifs. Like, I think I got till here in 6 hours of like consistent knitting. Okay, let's calm down, let's breathe a little, and oh my gosh, I'll show you my blanket whip, which is sitting in this lovely basket. I have to take some things out. And yeah, this is my Excavation blanket, if you're new and you've never seen this, which is it's a free pattern by the Hypnotizer. And it is basically a garter stitch blanket knitted on the bias. First of all, look how cute it looks folded, and it gives the impression of it being finished, but it's not nearly it's not finished, not even close. But basically the pattern, if you follow the pattern, you get a square blanket, and I didn't want it square. I wanted it rectangular, and I've worked on like the straight part. I'll show you and then I'll tell you what I mean. It is so big. Okay, right. This is actually super big now that I'm like holding it up, and I've worked these many rows, and oh my gosh, because basically you knit, I'll put up a like graphic of it on like how it's worked, but basically in the first part of the pattern you increase, like from an angle you increase, and then you decrease to the other angle in the second half. And basically between the first and the second triangle, I've added length and not width to the blanket. And I did it by decreasing on one side of the row, but keeping increasing on the other side of the row. So as you've seen, it is now like this shape. So this side is just straight, and that's where I kept increasing. And this side, you know, it goes this, and then it goes like this, and this is where I decreased. This is actually so much work. Like, it looks like, but it doesn't look like as much. Basically, from this yellow stripe to this blue stripe over here, I think there are like 17,000 stitches, something like that. So like this is probably like 34. Yeah, 34,000 stitches just to work this length of it. But now it should be big enough for my liking, and I've tried to push through, because of course garter will stretch somehow in blocking. I'm a little bit nervous about this because it won't just stretch like this, but like this, because that's the direction in which the garter stitch is going. It's going like horizontally and not vertically, so if you have a rectangle, it won't just grow like either widthwise or lengthwise, but it will grow on the bias. So something about blocking this just makes me very anxious because this is going to be super heavy, but whatever. And the only thing about this part is that you have to weave in your ends, which I already did. Some I've cut, some I didn't, and I weaved them in as I went, because, you know, otherwise there won't be too many. And yeah, but like on the other, if you do the square blanket as the original pattern suggests, you won't have to weave in ends because you just leave them as tassels. And I have a little tassel on the other side because this is basically the top, one of the corners. So this is the first row where I started decreasing, and I've just made like 2 rows, so 1 color. And something about this bothers me. Like, I've thought about this without reading the pattern, and I was like, oh, maybe in the pattern, you know, it's going to be different and there won't be this problem, which is not a problem. It's just something about it in my head. You know, garter stripes just looks like pearl bombs basically, but you have, you know, knit stitches, knit rows in the middle. And basically, if you knit, my gosh, always from the other side, you always start from the side with the tassels. So you start and you have the end, then you work 1 row, you work another row, and you cut the yarn so you can tie it. But then when you work the second half of the blanket, you work to the wrong side, so that you have your tassels going to the other side, which is, you know, yeah, that's just how it works. But if you turn garter stitch to the wrong side, you'll have a knit row, and to work garter stitch, you just work knit rows. So you'll have, like, I don't know if you can see, 2 knit rows, one after the other. So like the gap between the bumps will be more, and I don't think that's something I will mind in the future. I kind of already forgotten about it, but I wish there was like a way to avoid this. And yeah, probably would imply like cutting yarns and like many times, I don't know. But you know, this row is so long that I didn't bother like fronting back, just because there were 2 knit rows, one after the other. Wasn't enough for me, for my stamina. And I love how it is turning out. And this is the progress on my blanket. I'm sorry, my boyfriend called me. I had to answer. And yeah, I just talked about my blouse. No, kidding, about my blanket. Oh, okay. I think we're on to the acquisition part, which is quite big. I think we could start with this. I bought the like Drops Classic Interchangeable Needle Set, which is a very cheap stainless needle set. You have from 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, etc. till 8mm needles. So that's, I think, good, because I don't have like anything above 6. So here I have 6, 7, and 8. So that's good. And it is very cheap. Cables are not that good, but I can work with them. And I think I was in need of a not a very long, but a longer set of needles, because I think the needles that I usually use, they are the Knit Pro Delightful collection needles, and they're not shorties, but they are like this short. And with very big and heavy projects like the blanket, for example, I felt the need to be more comfortable, so that, you know, not so much weight was on my wrists. and I think that works, and I'm very happy with the purchase, and I'll maybe do a review of them, or maybe not. I don't know. I just got them not a long time ago, so quite recently. That's what I'm saying, recently. So but they come with a lot of like cords and a lot of like keys and needle stoppers and all of that, so that was good as well. And I think we can get on with the exciting part of the acquisitions, but from the least exciting one. So it's yarn, and first of all, I really need your help. Oh no, because I bought this Regia sock yarn because I think that, especially for when I'll be in Scotland, I'll need a pair of socks. I'll need more than one pair of socks, and now I have one pair. So yeah, I bought this one. The two colors, the two of us color, I don't know, for apply. There's sock yarn, which is woolen nylon, which is supposed to be written somewhere. No, 70%, 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. So that's good, but it's supposed to be like this self-patterning thing, and I might be very like, I don't know, fixated on it. But basically, one of the first videos that I saw knitting related, it was of like Bethany of Well of Knits, and she was knitting one of these things with another yarn, but her gauge was a bit off, and like the patterning was all like offset and it wasn't working out. So it doesn't say which yarn I'm supposed to use. Like it says from like 2 to 3 millimeters, which is usually what people need use for socks, like usually like 2.25, 2.5, something like that. But yeah, does it matter my gauge, and does it matter how many stitches I cast on? And also I don't know, I'm supposed to be probably working the sock in stockinette, but either I do a 72 stitch. Like, I'm very confused. Like, does the stitch count matter, first of all, if you knit it with one of these yarns? And here in the picture, I don't know if you can tell, but the heel, I don't know what heel it is, maybe short row heel, but it's working with the same yarn, and it doesn't disrupt the pattern. But is it just because like for marketing purposes, and they didn't pay attention to the fact that, I don't know, things? Because usually with self-patterning yarns, if you change the stitch count too much and you, for example, knit a heel flap and gusset, you mess up the whole patterning. And so do I have to do like a contrast heel or like an afterthought heel with this? Like, basically, if you have any information on how this works, please help me, because I need your help. Like, there is no, like, other than the tag being completely in German, I don't think there is much information on how to use them. So yeah, if you know how I am supposed to use this, please let me know in the comments. I'm really stressed because I think I will enjoy knitting this, but at the same time, like, I don't know, like, it stresses me out a lot. It's like this. It's a lot of question marks. But I think that when those question marks will be answered, maybe life will get easier and better. But I couldn't find like information on the website about the yarn on, so what else can I do? What can a girl do? Then the next acquisition was actually a gift from my knitting friend. She is called Isabella, and she actually finally restarted posting on YouTube, so I'll link her YouTube channel in the description box. I look so confused, and I totally am. So basically, last summer I knitted a ranunculus, and I totally wanted to be a sweater, but I didn't know, because I basically was too big. I was too lazy. I was too lazy to read the pattern correctly, probably, and I didn't know how much yarn I needed, how many meters, because there are so many options with the gauge of the ranunculus that, I don't know, it's a bit confusing. So, like, it's confusing if you don't read the pattern, like, whatever. So many people have knitted it that I don't think it is unclear, so it's probably a me problem. So I just, like, ordered full balls of that yarn, and I was like, well, when the 4 balls will run out, I will know kinda how much one ball, like, gives me in terms of, you know, the sweater. So I will know basically how much more to order, about how much more to order. Then when I finished the body of that with the 4 balls, I couldn't find the yarn in this color. The yarn that I'm using is Viking's yarn, Bambino, which is 50% bamboo with 50% cotton, and it just feels lovely and heavenly, and it is absolutely amazing, and I love how it feels. If I'm finding that whatever yarn has bamboo in it, it's so soft and, like, silky, and I don't know if you can see, it has kind of a shine to it. It is very beautiful in this color, which is number 432, and there were all the colors all in stock. This I couldn't even find, like, in the catalog. It's not that, you know, they had them, but it was sold out. I couldn't find them. And also, like, I've tried searching it on Ravelry if maybe there was some of it on, like, sale. No. So she just came to my place and we did, like, a knit night kind of thing with a sleepover, and she just shows up with this yarn, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that was so generous. So baby, thank you if you're watching. Like I already said, but if you're watching again, thank you, because then I can go back and add the sleeves, which, I don't know, I think will be lovely. I think it will be very good. I've learned to love that piece as a t-shirt, but I think I would prefer it as a sweater. So that was so kind of her, and she got me 4 balls more, which I think would be enough to knit 4 sleeves. Like, I knitted the entire sweater, like the yoke and the body with 4, held double, so I think it will be enough to knit 2 sleeves with 4 balls, and I probably have leftovers, which I'll have to figure out what to knit with, but it wouldn't be a problem because I love the yarn so much. So yeah, I'd love to use it more. And I'm sorry for this chair, it is so noisy. And also, I've tried, like, doing my hair a little bit, but they're messy. I've tried putting on jewelry. I'm not putting on makeup because there's just more things to do, like taking it off. It's already, like, evening. I'm supposed to be eating. I'm so hungry. Whatever, I'm sorry. Next, it is the most exciting part for me, which are 2 sweater quantities more of yarn, which is super exciting. I don't usually buy so much in bulk, but sometimes, like, one of my goals for this year was treat myself with some yarn when I felt the need to be treated with some yarn. So I bought 2 sweater quantities of the same yarn, though, of Drops Daisy, which is a DK weight. It's basically a dupe for Double Sunday by Santa's Garn, and it is non-superwash merino, DK weight, whatever. It's this in this color, which I feel like is showing up pretty well. It is basically the same of this one, and I'm planning to use that to knit the Cargill sweater by Rebecca Clow. And yeah, I actually bought 2 sweater quantities, basically the same amount of, like, balls of skeins, but I'm like, I love these two colors that, like, for the two sweaters that I have in mind, they could be interchangeable. So like, I don't know if I want the cargill in this or in, oh my gosh, in this color, which is a, I don't know, light dusty pink. And I'm sorry, this color is 06, and the lilac is color 15. It's like dusty lavender or something. And yeah, beauty. And with this, I am imagining more of knitting a sweater that I designed myself for my brother's birthday, but last year, not 2024, but 2023. I've knitted this sweater in 100% cashmere with like some cables, and it looks so good on me, particularly, like also on him, because I made it to fit him. But I would love to make a version for me, so that is what the pink one is supposed to be for. And I cannot wait to start. But yeah, I think that for now the plan is maybe, like, for sure finish the Cumulus blouse, then keep working on my, wait, I always forget, my Barbroe blouse, and then maybe when I feel like, I could cast on this. And maybe once I've finished this, to like to change, like to always have like a easier project and a more complex project, I could maybe, like, the cable self-drafted sweater design, whatever, can be the full project. I mean, I don't know, that's kind of the same difficulty, because this doesn't have many cables, and the other project I'm talking about is that I want to do a camisole number 4 in a dress version. And in that, I think I have to figure it out, like the sizing properly and how to do the shaping, because I don't want it to be like very straight down, because I, like, my measurements will be in the bottom of the description box, like as it has always been. But basically, I have a big, I don't know, it's not big. I'm not very busty, but my rib cage is pretty big. Then my waist is quite small, and my hips are pretty big, but not from the side, but from the front, from this, not from the front, but from the sides, if it makes sense. I don't know. But basically, I cannot just choose a size for my bust and just keep knitting down. But if I just increase for my hips, then I would look like too straight. I think I would like a little bit more of a like this silhouette. The word is not coming to me. Hourglass silhouette, because that's what I look like, and I think that would be good, but at the same time it would not be very mindless. And whatever, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I feel like I spent a good amount, like, talking about each thing, and everything got a fair amount of time on screen. And of course, if you want more info about this whole situation, these whips and etc., my future knits, you can subscribe to this channel, and you can, I guess, follow me on Instagram. And if you have like questions on things I talked about, please leave them in the comments if you have some. I will, like, the patterns and the yarns will be linked in the description box as well. And let me know what you were working on during this. If you have been knitting on something, I always love to read those comments. Again, I'm sorry for my state, my mental and physical state, and the lighting situation, but that's what we are working with at the moment, because I'm just a bit busy these days, so that's the only way I could just sneak in a podcast episode, because today, as for filming, is the 25th of April, and it is like national holiday in Italy, so I was like, let's do this. So, but I have to go back studying now. I mean, maybe eat first. because it's like 20 to 9 p.m. so it would be nice to eat. But yeah, if you've been here till the end, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you, and I hope whatever you're knitting on is a success. And till I see you next time, I wish you health and happy knitting, and I hope that life is being good to you and kind to you. So till I see you next. Bye. Bye guys.